Hello and welcome to the OCVarsity Gridiron Extra show. I'm your host, Jonathan Khamis. To my left, Dan Albano. To my right, Steve Fryer. Guys, we're talking about what intrigued us in the second round of the CIF Southern Section football playoffs. Dan, I'll take it to you first. I know we mentioned a little off-air about San Clemente and Sonora, but Tesoro's score surprised you as well.
Yeah, I didn't see Tesoro losing in the second round to Rancho Cucamonga. I knew Rancho Cucamonga was a really good team. They have a lot of talented juniors, especially. They have a lot of guys they have a few guys that have offers. You know, they have some Division I caliber players out there. I talked to one reporter from the Inland Empire who said her number one team preseason was Rancho Cucamonga, and they were really disappointing to some because they finished third in their league. But I didn't expect them to run for. They ran all over Tesoro. They intercepted Devon Monster 3 times, and I'm sure Tesoro got down. Devon was probably trying to make things happen, but he only had 2 interceptions all year. They got 3 on maybe the best player in Orange County, who still had a awesome year and a strong game in there. But that one surprised me, so that was probably the one that jumped out at me the most.
Steve, any takeaways from the prior round as we head into the semifinals?
In the Pac-5 division, Mater Dei getting this far with all those young guys, that says a lot about that coaching staff over there. Coaching continuity in any sport is really important, but in Orange County high school football, it really is. Some of those guys have been with Rollins since the early 90s. And so I think that impressed me as they got that win at Sarah. That was pretty impressive. Mater Dei's got to go up against Centennial of Corona. That's going to be an awful tough challenge. The advantage that Mater Dei have is they got the home game at Santa Ana Stadium, or the bowl, if you will. What's the thing about JT Daniels that kind of blew me away because he's a freshman? There's a quote. He called Coach Rawlinson Rollo. You got to be like at least 30 before you can call that coach Rollo. He's like 15. He goes, yeah, well, Rollo said. I go, what? What's he doing?
I thought that was just, you always hear like the Mater Dei greats talk about coach like that, like on their, in the past on their videos. Alums. Yeah, the alums like, Leinert and Barkley,
he's got 2 of those 3 stripes for sure. Yeah, Pride and poise. He's definitely got those 2. We're talking top 10 this week. Yeah. And who did you vote for number 1? Because we had a little bit of an issue here. Some voters went Mater Dei, some went Mission Viejo. Who did you have and why?
Well, a quick little history. Mater Dei was our preseason number 1. They held that slot until they lost to J. Sarah. The Mission Viejo became number 1. A couple people still voting for Mater Dei. There's 10 people on the panel who vote, media members. All 3 of us are part of that 10-member media panel. And this week, I went back, and I've been voting Mission Viejo number 1 the last couple of weeks. But then Mater Dei winning that game against state number 13 on the road changed it out for me a little bit. Then you looked at the body of work stuff, too. More games and more wins against state-ranked sort of teams. Because, gosh darn it, they beat Servite. They were in the state top 25 at one point. Olu as well. So I kind of looked at that, and I kind of went really, really tight on it. I could, if I would have voted for Mission Viejo, no problem. As our old mentor, Dave Oshman, used to say, can you defend it? Whenever you make a decision, you can defend voting for Mission Viejo or Mater Dei. I just went Mater Dei and, just out of it. Now, of the 10 media members, 5 people voted Mater Dei number 1. 5 people voted Mission Viejo number 1. So, and then the other guys had Mater Dei 2 or Mission Viejo 2, depending on what your ballot looked like. First time in my recollection, I've been doing this for a couple of weeks, fellas.
A couple of weeks, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a little bit of time. I don't ever recall a tie for number 1 in the county top 10 for football. Never recall that. And that goes back. I go back to typewriter days.
Hey,
I learned on a typewriter. It's not that bad.
If Mater Dei and Mission Viejo could just get together and play like they have back in the good old days, not too long ago, we wouldn't even have this debate. They usually, they played a lot, and this would have been a great year every year is a great year for these teams to play. And I think it's an Orange County game, and you just love to see the best 2 teams play. You got to have the coaches on board, and they have to have a relationship that they're going to keep that thing going, right, Steve?
I agree, and there has been some, some feathers ruffled, however you want to put it. When Mission
PJ
Viejo,
way to put it.
When Mission Viejo and Mater Dei have hooked up in the past, whether it be a playoff game or even gosh darn past in League 2. And I understand Coach Johnson's philosophy on this in Mission Viejo. He thinks that the private schools have way too much advantage. I don't even want to mess with those guys. That's his philosophy. And I can see that because for sure there are some advantages, and we could do a 20-minute segment just on this thing itself. Yeah, but anyway, I can see, I'd like to see them play each other, but yeah, I can see Coach Johnson's point.
Finally, guys, I'd be remiss if I didn't get your thoughts on Coach John Barnes. He's a member of the 300 Win Club, and he recently
Charter member.
That's right. He retired from Los Alamitos. He's been there a while, and he's always been classy as far as myself working with him and his family and wife Anita and his two sons. Just how have your dealings been with him throughout the years? How will you remember him as a coach and his farewell?
You know, if I was a movie director, you know, and you had to cast a coach, a high school football coach, you would do you couldn't do much better than, you know, casting Coach Barnes. He was, to me, like he's just the ideal football coach in terms of, you know, how competitive he was, some of his sayings, and he had a lot of old school thoughts. He was an old school guy. You know, the way he talked about players being special. You know, he was upset after losses. He did not take those losses lightly at all. He had his game face on before. He worked hard. He was always competitive in passing league all-star games. He did outstanding, and he was very innovative with the passing game. He is a passing guru on the passing game in Orange County, and he won a lot of games. And I'm going to miss seeing Coach Barnes on the sidelines, because that, you know, when you think about, you know, a high school football coach, he's the old ball coach. The old ball coach was Coach Barnes, and, you know, Orange County lost a good one.
Yeah, the Griffins won't be the same without Mr. Barnes. You and him go back a ways.
Yeah, we sure do. Gosh, you know, we've had so many great discussions on a bunch of different things, not just football. An interesting man to talk to, you know, very bright guy, John Barnes. You know, you talking to him, accidentally calling him when he's on his vacation home in Minnesota. No, I'm okay. I got a couple minutes, just dodging mosquitoes. Steve, what do you got? You know, so it was a lot of fun to cover his teams. You know, yeah, he's known as the passing guy, but I think Coach Dave White summarized it pretty well when he's talking about Coach Barnes and saying that if he had a running team, he could adapt. He had running, you know, aligned, that the personnel was a running sort of personnel. He would do that. You know, it was defensive special teams with the strengths. We're going to win that way. So he's had a way. But, yeah, offensively, I mean, gosh, you know, the quarterbacks, Tim Carey, Mike Good, Jimmy Barnes, his son, Kevin Federick, Klein, oh, my gosh, you know, Greg Nano, J.T. Snow, the baseball player, played quarterback for him. So it's an amazing array of – and some of the biggest games in Orange County football, Los Al played in them, and they won a lot of those big games. So it's pretty amazing stuff.
All right, thanks to Dan Albano. Thanks to Steve Fryer. I'm your host, Jonathan Khamis. And for all your latest football updates, check out OCVarsity.com, where we've got you covered.